Locked away for nearly 50 years in a restricted access hall at the Philosophical Faculty in Belgrade, the mysterious Vinča goddesses were unveiled to the world in 2020 at a temporary exhibition in the Museum of Vojvodina in Novi Sad. These statuettes are part of numerous ceramic anthropomorphic and zoomorphic idols discovered in the village of Vinča, near Belgrade, and are attributed to the largest prehistoric settlement from the Neolithic era in Europe. While some believe that all these peculiar portraits depict the Great Mother Goddess, it appears not everyone shares this view. The unusual garments and details have led certain researchers to question whether they were adorned in something resembling a spacesuit. The most famous Vinča figurine is the Lady of Vinča, dating back to 4,500 years BC. Found at a depth of 4.8 meters at Vinča, Belo Brdo archaeological site, vicinity of Belgrade, capital of Serbia. It represents a woman with her right hand placed on the left breast. Clothes are depicted by V-neck ornament and by black and red diagonal stripes. Figurines have other typical features of Vinča art, such as a flat triangular face, prominent nose and large almond-shaped eyes, ornaments on the body, and small holes on the head and arms. Ornaments on the body sometimes obviously depict clothes, as on this figurine with V-neck, but on some figurines they might be representing tattoos. Some scholars speculated that most likely this is not the true face of the lady. This becomes apparent when viewed from the side. The head is covered with a mask, and it can be seen that the mask can be lifted upwards through a specific construction resembling a pilot's helmet. It is observed that the hand has a serpent-like form and is very slender. Interestingly, a very similar figurine has been found in Japan. They are known as dogu. Dogu clay figures in Japan are abstract, with recognizable human or animal features, having a fascinating history dating back thousands of years. These enigmatic figures are linked to the mysterious Jomon period in Japanese history, when people were hunter-gatherers closely associated with agriculture and worshipped an Earth Mother deity for bountiful harvests, production, and fertility. The following goddess is also clad in a fully enclosed costume, and she is accompanied by a baby, who is also adorned in a similar outfit. But why is the baby also garbed in such a manner? In the display cases of the temporary exhibition, there are also other intriguing elements from the Vinča culture. Numerous Neolithic ornaments and jewelry made from animal bones and shells are showcased. However, they appear significantly more primitive compared to the goddesses. This raises the question, if the artisans were creating abstract pieces, why weren't the bracelets crafted in the same avant-garde style? But let's return to the costumes and who might be concealed behind them. The possible answer may be found in the next figurine. The idol is called the Lady of Morava, or the Cow Lady from the Neolithic settlement of Drenovat. Seated on a stool again with the same costume, but this time the head is unrecognizable. The artist was not lacking in skill, as the remaining elements of the figurine are perfect. A possible interpretation is that this goddess has removed her helmet. Could this be the true appearance deliberately concealed by the mysterious beings present in this territory during that time? The lady has a massive bulbous nose dominating the entire head, eyes positioned on the sides of the nose, enormous ears starting from the neck, a protruding forehead seen in almost all Vinča culture depictions, and some kind of sail-like protrusion at the back of the skull. However, this might be part of the costume, as seen from the side where it appears to be the place from which the helmet mask is lifted. It does indeed evoke similarities with the later representation of the Egyptian deity Taweret. Pregnant and nursing women utilized Taweret amulets for protection against evil spirits for themselves and their infants. The goddess possesses a formidable appearance, amalgamating the physical features of a hippopotamus, cow, and crocodile. Perhaps the strange appearance is also a reason for wearing a mask. The next artifacts were stolen during the Kosovo War in 1998-1999, but subsequently, after more than 15 years, they were returned to the museum in Pristina. Kosovo's Vinča culture is represented by its most famous artifact, the throne goddess, dating to 5700–4700 BCE. It is a ceramic statue of a woman found during rescue excavations for the construction of a textile factory in 1956. She is a female deity seated on a stool with intricately crafted details. The Great Mother figure is one of thousands of such figurines and one of the best preserved. You can see that the figurine truly looks like a being from another world. Her features, with large almond-shaped eyes and elongated nose, would not be seen as a human by many today. She's so popular today that the goddess is Pristina and the museum's chosen symbol. There's nothing there to suggest the figure is necessarily female, aside from what looks like a necklace with a circular pendant and lines that could be exaggerated eyelashes. There is no mouth. The goddess wears what seems to be an elaborate suit. It's unclear where her legs end and the lotus-like throne begins. Similar figurines have been found with clearly defined legs. Again, some scholars are certain that this is not merely a stylized body, but a mask or costume. What could be the reason for dressing her this way? Who in prehistory wore similar jumpsuits and why? Although the throne goddess is considered unique, a nearly complete duplicate is found in the Museum of Kruševac, Serbia, dated to a later period of 5300–3600 BCE. The two figurines resemble each other greatly, perhaps because they were made by the same artist and based on the same model. However, according to scholars, there is a 500-year difference between the creation of the two goddesses, meaning the authors are different, and possibly even the models. So what could it be? Perhaps the answer is that these are not portraits of specific individuals with unique clothing, but specially adapted costume forms in which different beings were dressed. From the same region come several more interesting figurines and similar costumes, as well as completely ordinary figures looking entirely human. This leads to the conclusion that the creators knew how to depict normally looking people. But the next one is exceptionally unusual. We now reach the most incredible discovery from Kosovo. If you had seen this costume in a contemporary science fiction film, you would never have guessed that it represents the mother goddess created over 7,000 years ago. It has a long nose starting from the top of the head and a protruding forehead, enormous eyes, likely serving as the goggles of the helmet. There is no creature where the eyes start from the ears and end in the center of the head, except for insects. Since this is a humanoid, not an insect, it is believed that the form is designed to protect the eyes. The eyebrows start from the nose and merge on both sides into a thick band passing through the entire lower jaw. This is probably the lower part of the helmet, which, like in other examples, can be lifted. The attire is fitted and seems to be attached to the helmet. The contours of the cut are marked, and on the sleeves, reinforced zones are noted. The sleeves end in gloves, tucked into pockets at the waist. What could the prehistoric artist have encountered to inspire and create this artwork? Could this be a recreated astronaut costume? This one is found at Medvednjak. This archaeological site is known for a large number of Vinča anthropomorphic figurines, most of which were found inside large rectangular buildings. Archaeologists think that Medvednjak was a regional center in Neolithic times, with that large building as some kind of sanctuary or a shrine. It has typical features of Vinča figural art, a flat triangular face, large almond-shaped eyes, and linear ornaments on the head and body. On the forehead is carved large spiral S ornament, and ornaments on the body probably represent V-neck clothes. Anthropomorphic figurines are usually found in remains of Vinča houses, often near fireplaces, sometimes carefully arranged, which suggests that those items had special ritual or cult purpose. Here are several more of the numerous figurines of the mother goddess from the Vinča culture. Do they resemble humans to you? However, local archaeologists say the Great Mother's big eyes are symbolic. Dragan Jankovic, a curator at the Belgrade City Museum, says,
"The figurines have big eyes because they vigilantly watch over the population, the crops, and the animals, securing their fertility.
But what is the Vinča culture? In 1908, the largest prehistoric settlement from the Neolithic era in Europe was discovered in the village of Vinča, 14 kilometers from the Serbian capital, Belgrade. The discovery was made by a team led by Miloš Vasić, the first school archaeologist in Serbia. It concerns a civilization where people lived in urban houses with complex architecture made of wood and plastered with clay. The houses extend along streets, making Vinča one of the first urban settlements in Europe, older than the cities of Mesopotamia and Egypt. The city of Vinča is just one of the cities. Other settlements have been found near Belgrade, also in Romania and Bulgaria. Archaeologists conclude that in the 5th and early 4th millennia BCE, Europeans had ancient cities with high population density, multi-story temples, spacious houses with 4 or 5 rooms, professional potters, weavers, metalworkers in copper and gold, as well as other craftsmen producing a wide range of complex products. A network of flourishing trade routes was established, trading obsidian, copper shells, marble, copper, and salt. The Vinča culture also had advanced mining a millennium before the accepted date for Europe. Mining started around 4000 BCE, and the copper mine Rudna Glava, 140 km east of Belgrade, had vertical shafts up to 20 meters deep. Excavations of mines in the southern part of Serbia reveal the presence of a furnace used for metal smelting. The furnace contains tools such as copper chisels, double-headed hammers, and axes. Several metal objects produced there have also been discovered. We can add that in the 5th millennium BCE in Bulgaria, near Stara Zagora, only in 11 mines, 1,000 tons of pure copper were extracted. More related information about the eastern part of Old Europe, located near the shores of the Black Sea at the time when it was the largest freshwater lake in the world, can be found in the video from the link in the description. Excavations at Vinča also reveal a series of figurines. Archaeologist Julka Kuzmanović-Kvetković noted that according to the found figurines, young women were dressed beautifully like today's girls, with short tops and skirts, and wore bracelets around their wrists. The unknown tribe, living between 5400 and 4700 BCE on an area of 120 hectares, where Plochnik is now located, knew trade, crafts, art, and metallurgy. Renowned American archaeologist of Lithuanian descent, Maria Gimbutas, called this civilization Old Europe. Ongoing excavations allow us to better understand and recognize it. For example, near the settlement, there is a thermal spring, evidence of the oldest SPA center. Vinča houses had stoves and special garbage disposal openings, and they buried the dead in a cemetery. People slept on woolen and leather mats, made clothes from wool, linen, and leather, and raised animals. The society cherished children. Recovered artifacts include toys like clay animals and rattles, as well as small clumsily made bowls, obviously crafted by children. Old Europe was a Neolithic civilization of people who were farmers and raised domestic animals, goats, sheep, and pigs. They even grew the most fertile types of prehistoric grains. They had a market economy. The surplus of products led to increased trade with neighboring regions, which provided salt, obsidian, or shells. In fact, this is not a true Neolithic civilization. They were more from the Bronze Age than the Stone Age, at a time when the rest of Europe and the Middle East had not even entered the Stone Age. Supporters of the ancient aliens hypothesis believe that the unexpected level of complexity and advancement observed in Vinča society may be explained by the intervention of a benevolent extraterrestrial entity. Although the goddesses look extraterrestrial, archaeologists believe some figurines are not deities, but depict young women wearing fashions of the day. Nevertheless, it's undeniable that many figurines closely resemble modern depictions of extraterrestrial beings found in books and movies. It wouldn't be surprising if writers or screenwriters drew inspiration from the ancient Vinča culture or other ancient art. Here is a statuette that clearly depicts a figure wearing a mask. What might have influenced the ancient Vinča artists to portray beings in masks? Most likely the strange triangular-shaped faces, often resembling masks above the face, could signify two things. The more natural explanation of the two is that the Vinča culture depicted their gods and deities in this manner. If we accept this option, what is the reason behind this peculiar artistic representation deviating from regional artistic styles? The second explanation, of course, is the one that many of us wish to be true, that the artists were influenced by real events witnessed by the Vinča culture. Why else would they create thousands of inhumane figurines, if not for an impactful event that altered the course of their lives? But wait until you see the next few figures that will surely ignite your imagination. Many similar goddesses from the same period have also been found in Bulgaria in the so-called Karanovo and Varna cultures, which most likely, together with Vinča, formed the so-called Old European civilization. In 2014, during rescue excavations near Plovdiv, a team of Bulgarian archaeologists discovered a figurine of an extraterrestrial with huge eyes. The figurine depicts a very beautiful goddess with a mysterious smile, but the puzzle lies in the way the eyes of the deity are portrayed. Despite her smiling and appearing very kind, her eyes are completely empty, lacking both pupils and irises. They began to call her the extraterrestrial goddess.
This is the mother goddess, and the iconography of the eyes is characteristic of the late Chalcolithic, or the beginning of the 4th millennium BCE,
says the leading archaeologist Buchvarov, dismissing any hint of sensation.
Interestingly, the 18.5 centimeter tall figure was found broken into only 2 pieces, indicating that it was not ritually sacrificed. Another anthropomorphic figure found there is also very interesting. It also represents the mother goddess, although the face resembles a male. However, it has female breasts. The eyes are made of schist stone.
Another intriguing discovery was made in 2020 near Provadia, where recently the oldest salt extraction facility in Europe had been uncovered. The ceramic artifact, featuring an unconventional depiction, takes on a triangular form. The protruding section showcases a human face, while the recessed back part is coarsely shaped. In the upper corners, short protrusions, likely stylized ears, are present, serving as perforations for hanging. The facial features, delineated by incised lines, outline both rough and polished areas. The representation includes eyebrows, a stylized nose, and elliptical eyes. Notably, there is a deliberate absence of a mouth, implying symbolic significance. The focal point rests on the eyes. Their shape and size, and the vertical polished bands beneath them convey meaning beyond the omission of a mouth. Upon the release of the photograph, interpretations ranged from describing the find as a birdman to an extraterrestrial being, and some even likened it to the head of a transformer. Archaeologists argue that this is a lid from a clay vessel and is unrelated to interpretations involving extraterrestrial origins. The archaeological site where the artifact was found is the Provadia Salt Works, dating back to 5600–4350 BCE. It is believed to have been a prehistoric city on our continent.
Salt was more precious than gold. In those times, it was like oil for today's people. The Provadia Salt Works is the engine of the first European civilization. The people who extracted salt were the first monopolists in Southwest Europe. They were the only ones. And this happened 4,000 to 5,000 years before Christ,
explains the excavation's leader, Professor Vasil Nikolov. Provadia, the salt works, gained international attention as it became clear that the first stone fortresses were created right there. Is it conceivable that the inhabitants of the city acquired their knowledge from the deity depicted on the figurine? It is hypothesized that approximately 350 individuals lived there between 4700 and 4200 BCE, roughly 1500 years prior to the advent of Greek civilization. The settlement of Provadia Salt Works boasts exceptional fortifications, with massive stone walls providing optimal protection for both the wealth amassed through salt production and trade and the lives of its residents. Presently, there is no evidence of a comparable stone citadel in 5th millennium BCE Europe, making it an extraordinary achievement in architectural art. Due to the extensive mound, excavations pose considerable challenges, and the core of the village remains inaccessible. The most significant discoveries and findings at the site are likely yet to be uncovered in the near future. Before revealing the most shocking extraterrestrial figure, let's take a moment to revisit an artifact from Provadia. It is possible that this was a lid from a clay vessel, as archaeologists suggest. Indeed, during that time it was a quite common occurrence to craft peculiar clay containers in the form of animals with lids. The smoothed surface on the frontal part is attributed precisely to its frequent use, in contrast to the inner side. The exact purpose of these artifacts is challenging to determine, but it is believed that many of them were crafted with sacred proportions and designed to resonate at a specific frequency. The origin of the ancient artisans' knowledge regarding their creation remains a mystery. Over the years, many eyewitnesses have recounted encounters with extraterrestrials of the grey kind. Surprisingly, these encounters seem to have begun over 8,000 years ago. Descriptions often include beings with elongated, almond-shaped eyes and small indentations marking ears, much like those depicted on this figurine. This artifact is part of a collection of Neolithic statuettes dated to 6000 BC and is housed in the National Archaeological Museum in Sofia. The striking features include the enormous eye cavities, the sharp, elongated chin, the receding jawline, and the delicate lips. Is the resemblance merely a coincidence? What could have inspired the ancient artisan to craft this figurine? Does it suggest that Earth has been visited by extraterrestrial civilizations since ancient times? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the mysteries of old Europe. If you crave more knowledge about the people of that ancient civilization, don't miss these recommended videos. Share your thoughts and interpretations in the comments, and let me know if you'd like further explorations into similar discoveries. Until our next adventure, stay curious and keep exploring.